Welcome back, everyone. Today I have a special deck profile for you guys. It's a red-purple Captain Kidd deck. This is probably the most underrated and the least played of the three captain leaders. We played red-purple Law till I got banned. People were playing red-purple Luffy for a little bit and have actually now jumped back on red-purple Luffy with the purple Straw Hat support from set 9. But guess what else got support in set 9? Captain Kidd. And personally, I will admit I underestimated this leader until I decided to make it for fun and have actually realized it's better than I gave it credit for. So, it is a dual color leader, but the difference is it can attack while still having 5 life. The trade-off for that is on your turn, if you have 4 more life, this card gets minus 1,000. So when you're only attacking, you're only a 4, but actually that doesn't hurt that much because we build our deck so that it actually still hits hard. It actually hits harder than most other leaders. And then it's actually very important for the second effect. When attacking Dawn -1, this leader gained 2,000 power during this turn, which allows us to hit 6, 7 early while we are still at 4 more life. So you are only a 4K until you have 3 life, but it is only on your turn. So when you're defending, it's still just a normal leader. So one of the ways we get around that 4K is with the recyclable Nami. I do play 3 copies of it. It makes for very Dawn efficient, and then it's actually helps the deck hits really hard. This is a going first deck. You do want to hit very fast, very early, so you hitting the 7, dealing them damage, kind of like how Yellow Katakuri plays. So yes, once per turn, give up to 1 of your rested Dawn to one of your leader or your characters. This is probably like our ideal first turn play, but we do have other stuff that costs 1 Dawn. So for example, we do play 4 Searcher killers. Look at top 5, you look at for 1 Kid Pirate type card other than Killer himself. So you cannot add the restanding Killer, but you can add, his other name, Hitokiri Kamazo. You could add Kid and Killer since it's not just Killer. So we do play 4 copies of this for the Searcher. This is one of the cards that actually makes the deck really consistent because we do play more than just this as a Searcher. Now, our ideal turn 2 play is this Charlotte Pudding. I do play 4 of it so that, I increase my chances of seeing it as often as I can. On your turn, it's basically a mini Kid blocker. So when a Dawn card on your field is returned to your Dawn deck, add 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and rest it. So on turn 2, you go to 3 Dawn, you play Pudding, you swing with Leader, you're only a 4, Dawn -1, pumping you up to a 6, so you can still hit 6, and you don't actually lose the Dawn because you get Pudding. Pudding gives it back. Next, we have one of the new cards, Eustace Captain Kidd. On play, you may add 1 card from the top of your life to your hand. If your leader has the Kid-type pirates, add up to 1 Dawn card from your Dawn deck and set it as active. So if you don't have Pudding and you end up playing this, you still actually can still swing with Leader because you pay all 3 Dawn, you take a life, which then you're getting closer to being 5 on your turn. I don't actually personally like that, but you do get a Dawn back active, so you can attach the Dawn, and you just don't get the -1. So your attack actually ends up being weaker than if you played the Pudding. So personally, I don't really feel that this is that great. However, you could instead play Heat. Heat is a blocker, it has a counter, and then on play, it gives you that 1,000. But the reason I chose Kid over Heat is because if you go second, if you played this on your turn 2, you go up to basically 5 Dawn. And then on the next turn, you go up to 7, which will allow you to play your big 7 cost 8K Captain Kidd. So this is really, it's playable as a substitute for your turn 2 if you go first. And then ideally for this play, it's like if you end up going second. Next, we have 4 Wire. It is a searchable 2K Kid Pirate searchable. Dawn times 1. If your leader has 7,000 power or more, and the Kid Pirate type, this character gets rushed. So it's got the same stat line as the 5 cost purple Frankie, except it costs 1 less. I haven't actually used it for the rush. This really is just for the searchable 2K. So instead, you could play the Hitokiri Kamazo just for the potential if your opponent tries to wall up with a bunch of baby blockers, which isn't exactly type of deck that you really see a lot right now. So again, either or you can play. Next, of course, we have the most important piece. This actually gives us our Dawn back. If you manage to set up properly with a pudding on your turn 2 and then this on your turn 3, every time you swing with your leader, you'll essentially actually ramp 1 Dawn. So you pudding gives you 1, you -1, pudding gives you 1 back, this gives you 1 back active. So you actually ramp up 1. So you go +1, and then you actually can play your 1-cost cards, which we do have several. So in terms of searching, we have Killer, we have Land of Wano. If we want to try to hit harder later, get a lot of value, play the Nami. And then we're going for defensive, we actually do play Radical Beams, which we will get into. So this card is actually really good. And if you set up Pudding and Captain Kidd back to back on your next turn, you can actually go -2 Dawn, because you're going to get both of them back and then still go up to 10 perfectly. Now, this is the card I actually completely underestimated because I looked at the stat line and I was like, this is really weak. So on play, Dawn -1, set up to one of your Kidd type leader as active. Now, the reason I underestimated this is because I was looking at the stat line. This is really weak. But I was looking at it the wrong way. We're not actually using it for the body. It's the body is there in case we don't get our finish in. If we did try to go for this kill. The reason it's good is because this, when attacking, Dawn -1 is a permanent for the turn. So when you swing, no Dawn attached already, it's going to be a 7. And then you drop this, swing again, it's going to be a 9 minimum with no Dawn attached. We have cards that pump up the leader power, so you're actually going to get like basically a guaranteed 2 damage in late game. So this basically force the restand and then the second attack being much bigger. So that's actually really nice. And then, of course, we don't play a lot of 2Ks in this deck, so we do actually wall up quite a bit. So we play Queen Blocker. Queen Blocker's good for the consistency. I was trying the Rayleigh so that I didn't Dawn minus. But, you know, if you're going against a faster paced deck, we want to try to clear a little bit of the board. So Rayleigh just didn't proc off all the time, and I much rather have a guarantee draw 2, trash 1. So Queen it is, and neither is searchable, so that's why I chose Queen. And then of course we have our only other 2K counter. So this deck only plays 4. So we have the heat. What was it? Heat? No, Wire. This one's really good because we do Dawn minus a lot if we're trying to go for game, and if we don't actually get the game, we might, you know, change midway to, hey, I need to go on the defense. So because we can -2, we can easily -2 with just our leader alone, our leader, you know, with a killer, etc. And then drop the Sanji, and then it is searchable because of the Straw Hat Crew. We play the Land of Wano card, what's it called? When you're at sea, you fight pirates, so it is searchable by that. So it is actually a really nice. And then we have 4 Captain Kidd. This is probably the most expensive piece of the deck. These are sitting at like $6-7. Everything else is pretty budget. On play and when attacking, Dawn -1, up to one of your leader, gain 1,000 power on your turn. So it actually makes for all your 1K, basically 2Ks, which is really nice. So you want to drop this on your 4th turn. So you go 1 Dawn, 3 Dawn, play a pudding, 5 Dawn, play a Kidd. You're going to ramp 1 once you attack, and then you're going to go up to 8 on the next turn. Drop 1 of these, go down to 7, actually end up ramping 1, so you go up to 9, and then swing with leader, go back down to 8, and then still end up perfect 10, so which is really nice for this. And then Kaido is our biggest card. We have 2. We do play 2. The reason I chose Kaido instead of Kidd and Killer, even though Kidd and Killer would fit thematically, is in case you go against a control deck or a deck that just walls up a lot, you do want something to pop the, you know, the blockers and stuff, and then have a big body sit on board. So that is why I play this. And then we have the 4 copies of when you're at sea, you fight against pirates. Look at 3 cards from the top of the deck, reveal up to 1 Straw Hat, Kid Pirate or Heart Pirate type card, so not character, card, add it to your hand and put the rest on the bottom of your deck in any order. And that's basically all we play. And the reason I say card is because sometimes we might need to search for like our rad beams. Next, we have 4 rad beams, which makes the deck actually very, tanky, even though it didn't seem that way. But we actually do, draw a little bit, control, hit really hard, and then, we can actually hard counter, because this is easily one of the best counters in the game. And then finally, we do play 2 Punk Rottens. Don -1 up to one of your kid type leader or character gain 5,000 power until. Now, most likely you're going to pump up your leader. So this alone would make you, 12, because you're going to go +5 and then leader effect +2. So on your first swing, it's going to be 12 for just 2 Don. Now, if you end up with like your 5 costs out on the field, you're going to get one of them back, and then that's just for 2 Don, you're going to swing a 12. And then for, this restand, no additional Don, you're still going to swing 14, which is really nice to get that game finishing kill in. And it's actually, I really got to say, I underestimated this deck a lot. I hope you guys have fun with it. Try it out. Let me know. I did record a couple videos of gameplays so you guys can see how it does into the meta decks. I have a few recorded playing against Dofi, Shanks, and Blackbeard, and it's actually doing really well. It does have a little bit of a trouble against Black, simply because if they remove your stuff, you're not getting that ramp. So hopefully you set up early, because if you set up early, they're not in the early turns. They don't have the Dawn to blow everything up immediately. So you'll have a turn or two to set up, and hopefully you build up your bodies big. And other than that, this is actually a very solid deck, very underestimated, and I hope you guys like it. Thanks for watching.